Alright, so I'm going to cut to the chase with this. I have started building or working on SC13, but I need your guys' help. I'll go into what's coming in the future and other stuff outside of SurvivorCraft later. Right now, I want to get this out of the way because it's my biggest priority. So, SurvivorCraft is based around the survival world. The theme's based around the survival world, it's based around Tribal Council, and I need your guys' opinions. So I'm going to list 3 different types of survival worlds that I have, that I'm thinking of using, and I need you guys to comment which one you think would be the best, what kind of theme slash biome, and I'm going to have a Google Forms in the description. The more I get filled out and the more opinions I get, the better. So the first option I have for a theme, or to use as a survival world, is a custom terrain survival world. And as an example, I've loaded up this beautiful world right here. And if you don't know necessarily what a custom terrain is, it's something that it's a terrain that does look natural, but it isn't something that is actually in the game of Minecraft. Like, obviously Minecraft doesn't have those big trees, it doesn't have those giant biomes like this or these mountains. This is obviously not something that is in Minecraft, but it looks like it could potentially be something. Now, the pros and the cons of this, the custom terrain type of survival world, is that it is very cool as a player to spawn in a world that you've never really seen before. It's all brand new to exploring stuff. But some of the cons is that it could potentially be overwhelming as a player. Like some terrains, and I'm talking about not just this world, but some custom survival worlds can be so intense and have so much going on in them that it could potentially be overwhelming for the player. What I mean by that is, like, you know, there could be like giant floating islands everywhere and huge trees even bigger than these, stuff like that. And another cool thing about the custom terrain is it could have builds like this that are obviously not in the game, and I do think it's really cool to explore, but to a point it's almost like it's just a landmark, because some of them could contain nothing. They could just be there. Of course, with the village and pillage update, you can't set off pillagers on it or anything, because, you know, so it's almost like it's cool that it's there, but what's the point and how does it benefit the player? So another issue with using custom terrains like these is that on top of the, you know, it's cool to have a super unique survival world, but there aren't any natural cave systems. So if you're going to look for diamonds or iron or whatever, the only way to do that is you have to strip mine. In a world like this, for example, let's see if I get lucky, there are custom, there are custom caverns like these, but the issue with these is that there's absolutely no ores in the walls like you would see in a regular Minecraft survival world. Like, as you can see, it's all stone, so whenever you go into something like this, it's kind of like, you know, what's the point? So these terrains are cool to explore as a player, but whenever you're trying to survive in them, finding ores and stuff, you know, you won't find natural caves. You just have to strip mine and, you know, find diamonds and iron like that. Those are some of the pros and cons to it. So the second type of survival world that I am looking at is just all a single biome survival world. And when I mean single biome, I mean, you know, the whole world is just, say, a jungle biome, or the whole world is a snow biome. There's not any other biomes in the world. With that type of world, it's easier to fit a theme, because of course if you have just full-on snow biome, you know, you can do the theme based around freaking winter. I don't freaking know. Or if you have, like what I did in Lost Paradise, you have a biome that's kind of, it's like a giant island in a way, and, you know, there's waters and stuff like that. The issue with having one biome is that, and it really comes down to what the players think, the issue with that is that you won't necessarily find you won't find all kinds of like natural stuff that spawns. Like in some biomes, woodland mansions will not spawn because they're biome specific. Villages won't spawn in some of them. Excuse the freaking train in the background. But some biomes, in order for stuff to naturally spawn, they're very biome specific. So it could be a possibility that the biome is just, say for example, we have just a large jungle biome. Not as thick as a normal jungle biome, but it's not like annoyingly thick like freaking normal jungle. But for example, in that type of biome, the only thing that you would find if you were to explore would be jungle temples. And that's where the issue comes in, is that as a player, if you're going out to explore the biome, you're not going to see that many landmarks as you would in a normal world where that has multiple biomes. And on top of that, whenever you are exploring the world, you're only going to be walking through a single biome. So you're going to be basically seeing the same thing everywhere you go. There's not necessarily going to be anything new. Of course, spawning in a world like that, there would be caves and stuff that the player could explore. So it wouldn't be like the custom terrain biome where there's just not really any caves and you have to strip mine. You would have caves, you would have lava pits and all that good stuff. So the third type of survival world is kind of what I've done for every season. It's just a normal survival world with multiple biomes mixed in it. The biggest issue that I have with doing that kind of world is you can't really establish a theme. For example, in Season 11 Haunted Hillside, the theme was obviously horror, but the biome was, there was flatland, there was a desert, I think there was a snow biome, there were hills. It was a bunch of biomes that were mixed together. And worlds like that, it's hard to establish a theme. Of course, you do have more to explore. You have more landmarks that could potentially spawn, like woodland mansions and even stuff from the village and pillage update. You would have natural spawning caves and stuff. That's all fine and dandy, but when it comes down to creating a tribal council and a theme, it's a little bit more hard. It's a little bit more difficult to distinguish. Also, in addition to the Google Forms, I need you guys to decide what kind of challenges I build for the season. So what I've typically done is, so you're going to have two options. The first option is what I've been doing, which the challenges are more minigame style. They're centered around, they're minigame, they're not necessarily survivor based or whatever. The other option is I could build the challenge like you would see in actual Survivor, which would be a challenge would take place on a beach like this. You have stuff like, different skills that you have to have in each part of the challenge, stuff like that. They're not really minigame style like I have been doing. So I need you guys to decide on that if you want me to do one or the other, or if you want me to do both, I will also have an option down there for that. So if you have your thoughts, opinions, comments on it, I will have a Google Forms down in the description. If you could fill it out, that would be freaking amazing, because those, whatever feedback I do get, that is what's going to happen in Season 13. So outside of that little rant that I just had, Season 13 is going to be a big season, and I say that because I kind of know the player pool that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with new players that weren't really there whenever I was around 2 years ago, and in a year from now, there's a pretty big possibility that the community will grow even larger. So I'm going to make it a pretty big season, not as big as Season 10, but it'll be a lot bigger than Season 11 and 12 were. And of course, that is going to be hosted next year. I'll post updates and stuff on here. If you're wanting to join my community on PlayStation Network, for PS4, of course, I'll put the title of the community up here. I'm not going to post much stuff on there. If I do post anything, it'll be stuff that isn't necessarily verified to be in the season, but they're sneak peeks. More of the bigger updates will be on this YouTube channel. Next summer, I am going to be bringing back World Runners. Right now, I'm going to be bringing back Season 2. It's going to be a standard season like Season 1. I have a set amount of players get on at the same time. They race through a world, they race through challenges and stuff. And of course, each one gets eliminated one by one. There's also another... I want to do Season 3, but I'm torn between if I should do it to where I do it traditional, where, you know, a set amount of players race at the same time individually, or if I should do something different for Season 3 and make it to where the players are in teams of 2. They have a course that they run through individually, so they would be timed. They wouldn't be racing all together at once. With that, I could do more teams than just the typical, 6 players. I could have 7 teams, potentially 8 teams, 9 teams. I probably wouldn't do it that big, but, I could do it like that, where I have teams for Season 3. That's also going to be on the forum, so I need you guys to tell me what to do for that, because, again, I am planning on doing 2 seasons of World Runners, and the 3rd season is going to be based around what you guys feed back to me. Other than that, there's not really any updates. I'm just kind of doing whatever at the moment. I am disappearing for school. I won't be on as much. I might be on a little, not entirely sure, but I'm mainly going to be building and stuff. But other than that, if you have participated in any of my seasons, thank you for putting up with my bullshit. I'm not perfect. My seasons are flawed. I'm just trying to make something that the community on PlayStation 4 can do for fun. Something a little bit different than what's typically done. So hopefully you guys do enjoy that. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you.